This video is intended for listening only. Close your eyes, relax, and let the story unfold. Some warnings are meant to be taken seriously. But what happens when you ignore them? This true Thai horror story is told by Mr. Thaw, passed down from his uncle Suk. It is a memory he will never escape. Suk was born and raised in Lopburi, Thailand. Since childhood, he was inseparable from a childhood friend, a girl known as Bu. Their bond was so close that her parents allowed him to stay over in her room without hesitation. But life changed. After finishing elementary school, Sak moved to Bangkok for nearly 5 years to work with relatives. When Songkran arrived, he returned home. And in his heart, he longed to see Bu again. Her relatives warned him not to visit her. They said her boyfriend was dangerous, jealous, and violent. They told him it wasn't safe. But Sukdik dismissed their warnings. He was pure at heart and only wanted to see an old friend. That evening, he made his way into Lopburi town. The sun had set, and by 8 p.m., he stood before the large boarding house where Bu rented a room. The caretaker looked uneasy. He too warned Sukdik about the boyfriend, insisting that if he stayed, he must be careful. He mentioned that Bu would usually return around 10:30 or 11 at night. The dormitory was vast, shaped like a U, yet strangely empty. Motorbikes were few, far less than one would expect in the city. The building loomed in silence. Near 11 p.m., Suk saw her. Bu was standing at a different entrance, motioning silently for him to follow. She said nothing, just a nod, the beckoning hand. He climbed to the 3rd floor, the central zone of the building. As she opened the door, a woman across the hall cracked her door open and stared at him curiously before pulling back into her room. Inside, the room was modest. A bed against the left wall, a thin picnic mattress spread beside it, a small TV, and a bathroom to the right. He tried to speak with her, but she only wept quietly, her head bowed. Before long, she muttered a few sentences, that she had broken up with her boyfriend, that he could sleep there if he wanted, that she would leave for work at 7 a.m. and return late at night, that the key would always be above the doorframe. And one final, haunting line, "I loved him. I'll be waiting here for him." Later that night, around midnight, Suk lay down on the floor mattress. Beer made his head heavy, and he drifted into uneasy sleep. At 3 a.m., a strange sound tore him awake. It was like the crinkling of plastic, as if someone was sucking air through a plastic bag. His eyes adjusted to the dim light seeping through the balcony curtains. Beneath the bed, he saw her, Boo lying sprawled on the floor, her body twisted. He assumed she had rolled off the bed in her sleep. The sound, perhaps just the bag she had clutched. Half asleep, he muttered for her to get back in bed. Then he closed his eyes again. The next day, around 10 a.m., she was gone, just as she said she would be. When he left the room, the woman across the hall was watching again. Her eyes followed him, but when he approached, she vanished back inside. The room was dusty, dirty. He decided to clean it. That evening, after beer and silence, he returned to the floor mattress. Again, near 3 a.m., the sound came. A plastic, that unbearable crinkling. Again, she was under the bed. Again, her body twisted, unmoving. Annoyed, he scolded her for falling. But this time, she moved. Her head turned slowly. The plastic bag sucked tight into her mouth. Her eyes, pitch black, void of anything human. Terror whipped through him. This was no longer Boo. This was something else. Suck bolted from the floor, grabbed his wallet and ran. He didn't stop. Not until the boarding house was behind him. The next morning, he went to her relatives, shaking, pale. He recounted what he had seen. They stared back at him in silence. Then the truth was revealed. Boo had died 2 months earlier. She had suffocated herself in that very room, using a plastic bag. Her body had convulsed, rolling from the bed onto the floor in her final moments. The caretaker's warning, the relatives' concern. It was never about a violent boyfriend. It was about a woman who could not bear betrayal and who chose to end her life, forever tied to that room. And the woman across the hall? Perhaps she knew. Perhaps she wondered why anyone would stay in the room of the dead. As for Suk, he never returned to that boarding house again. But even now, when he closes his eyes, he can still hear it. The sound of a plastic bag tightening, stealing the last breath of someone who would not let go. If you enjoyed this true Thai horror story, subscribe to Tale After Dark for more chilling tales every week.